At 11:59 p.m. on July 4th, 1947, a catastrophic explosion over the New Mexico desert shattered the silence, leaving behind a debris field that defied the laws of physics and sparked a secret war for the stars that still rages today. It was a night when the sky seemed to tear open, raining down pieces of a reality we were never meant to see. For over 70 years, the official narrative has been a series of shifting stories, from weather balloons to Project Mogul sensors. Yet the eyewitness accounts tell a far more disturbing tale of metallic foil that could not be cut, burned, or even wrinkled, and bodies that were distinctly not human.
The story begins on the Foster Ranch, located nearly 75 miles north of Roswell, New Mexico. Mac Brazel, a ranch foreman, awoke to a thunderous crack that shook his cabin to its foundations. When he ventured out the next morning, he discovered a trail of wreckage stretching for nearly a mile across the scrubland. This wasn't the twisted aluminum of a downed aircraft or the shredded rubber of a balloon. This was something else entirely. Brazel described the material as lightweight, incredibly strong, and etched with strange purple-hued symbols that resembled a cross between Greek letters and hieroglyphics.
When Brazel brought a handful of this material to Sheriff George Wilcox in Roswell, the wheels of history began to turn with a terrifying momentum. Wilcox, sensing the magnitude of the discovery, contacted the Roswell Army Airfield, home to the 509th Bomb Group, the only elite unit in the world capable of delivering atomic weapons. Within hours, intelligence officer Major Jesse Marcel was on the scene, and what he found would change his life forever. Marcel later recounted that even the most advanced materials known to the U.S. military at the time could not compare to the properties of the ranch debris.
The 509th Bomb Group issued a press release that stunned the world. The RAF had captured a flying saucer. It was the only time in history the United States military officially admitted to recovering an extraterrestrial craft. But the admission lasted less than 24 hours. By the next day, General Roger Ramey of the 8th Air Force in Fort Worth, Texas, held a press conference. He presented tattered remains of a weather balloon and a radar target, claiming the 509th had simply made a colossal mistake. The flying saucer was gone, replaced by a harmless, flimsy contraption of wood and silver paper.
But the cover-up was far from perfect. While the public was being told one thing, a massive clandestine recovery operation was underway in the desert. Witnesses reported seeing military convoys moving towards a second, more intact crash site on the plains of San Agustin. Here, the narrative shifts from mere wreckage to something far more visceral. Barney Barnett, a soil conservation engineer, allegedly stumbled upon a silver, disc-shaped craft embedded in the side of a ridge. Standing around the craft were 4 small figures, their skin a pale gray, their heads disproportionately large, and their eyes black, almond-shaped voids.
Mystery Code believes this is a vital piece of the puzzle or key evidence in solving the mystery. The existence of multiple crash sites suggests that what happened over New Mexico wasn't just a single accident, but perhaps a mid-air collision or a multi-craft event that the military scrambled to contain. The accounts of the bodies were not limited to Barnett. Military personnel who were part of the cleanup crew at the primary site also reported seeing strange, non-human remains being packed into specialized crates and flown out under the cover of darkness to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Among the most compelling evidence are the testimonies of the morticians and nurses at the Roswell base. Glenn Dennis, a local mortician, received a series of strange calls from the base inquiring about the availability of child-sized caskets that could be hermetically sealed. When he went to the base for an unrelated matter, he saw a nurse he knew running from a room, visibly shaken. She later told him she had witnessed doctors performing autopsies on small, fragile beings with 4 fingers and no ears. She disappeared shortly after their meeting, transferred to an unknown location, and was never heard from again.
The physical properties of the debris itself remain one of the most baffling aspects of the case.
Witnesses like Bill Brazel, Mac's son, described finding pieces of a material that looked like lead foil but had the weight of a feather. No matter how many times it was crumbled into a ball, it would instantly unfold itself, perfectly smooth, without a single crease. It was a memory metal that outperformed anything developed by human science for decades to come. Where did such technology originate in 1947? A time when the world was still recovering from the primitive industrialism of World War II. The secrecy surrounding the Roswell incident was absolute. Families were threatened with death if they spoke of what they had seen. Military personnel were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements that lasted a lifetime. The wreckage was whisked away to Hangar 18, a legendary facility at Wright-Patterson, where it was supposedly reverse-engineered. Some researchers suggest that the rapid technological boom of the late 20th century, the invention of the transistor, fiber optics, and integrated circuits, was not the result of human genius alone, but the fruit of studying the Roswell debris.
Mystery Code will now reveal the truth as follows. The Roswell incident was the catalyst for the creation of the modern intelligence state. In the months following the crash, the Central Intelligence Agency was formed, and the National Security Act of 1947 was signed into law. It was as if the government realized that the presence of extraterrestrial visitors required a level of secrecy and control that the democratic process could not sustain. The world was changing, and the public was being left in the dark, fed a steady diet of ridicule and denial to keep the truth buried.
As the years passed, more whistleblowers emerged, adding layers of complexity to the 1947 events. Colonel Philip Corso, a highly decorated officer who served on the National Security Council, claimed in his later years that he was tasked with seeding alien technology into the American industrial complex. He described handling the very artifacts recovered from Roswell, including night vision devices and laser technology. Corso's testimony, while controversial, aligns with the sudden leaps in science that seemed to appear out of nowhere in the 1950s and 60s. The official government stance has undergone several revisions. In the 1990s, the Air Force released a report titled The Roswell Report, Case Closed. They claimed the debris was from Project Mogul, a top-secret program using high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. As for the reports of bodies, the Air Force suggested they were crash test dummies dropped from planes in the 1950s. This explanation, however, fails to account for the fact that the witnesses reported seeing the bodies in 1947, years before the dummy tests even began. The timeline simply does not fit the facts.
The Roswell incident is not just a story about a crashed ship. It is a story about the fragile nature of our perceived reality. If even a fraction of the eyewitness testimony is true, then humanity has been in contact with a superior intelligence for nearly a century. The implications are staggering, touching on everything from religion and philosophy to the very foundations of our political systems. Why would the truth be kept so hidden? Perhaps the realization that we are not the masters of our own skies would lead to a total collapse of the social order.
Mystery Code believes this is a vital piece of the puzzle, or key evidence, in solving the mystery. Every piece of leaked document, every deathbed confession, and every grainy photograph from that era points towards a truth that is far more complex than a simple weather balloon. We are looking at a moment in time where two civilizations intersected, and one was left to pick up the pieces of a technology it barely understood. The shadow of Roswell looms large over every modern UFO sighting, serving as the benchmark for the ultimate government cover-up. In recent years, the declassification of Navy videos showing tic-tac-shaped objects performing impossible maneuvers has reignited interest in the Roswell legacy. These modern sightings share a direct lineage with the silver discs of 1947. The physics haven't changed. The craft still move without visible propulsion, stop on a dime, and vanish into the ether. It suggests that the visitors never left, or that the technology we recovered in the New Mexico desert is finally being mastered by the very forces that hid it from us for so long. The legacy of the Roswell crash is etched into the very soil of the New Mexico desert.
To this day, researchers return to the Foster Ranch with magnetometers and specialized equipment, hoping to find one overlooked sliver of memory metal or a single grain of non-terrestrial isotope. Some have found microscopic metallic spheres with isotopic ratios that do not match anything found on Earth. These silent witnesses tell a story that the official reports refuse to acknowledge, providing a physical link to a night when the stars fell to the ground.
As we look back at the events of July 1947, we must ask ourselves what we would do if we were the ones in charge. Would we tell the world that we are not alone, or would we seize the opportunity to gain a technological advantage that could ensure national survival in a hostile world? The choice made in the aftermath of the Roswell crash has defined the last 70 years of human history. We live in a world of secret programs, black budgets, and a truth that is hidden in plain sight, waiting for the day it can no longer be contained.
The ultimate reveal is not just that a craft crashed, but that we are currently living in the aftermath of that encounter. Every time you use a smartphone or benefit from modern medical imaging, you might be interacting with the refined remains of a spacecraft that was built light years away. The Roswell mystery is not a cold case. It is a living, breathing reality that continues to shape our future. The information gap created on that stormy night in 1947 is slowly being filled, one whistleblower and one declassified document at a time.
The final synthesis of the mystery points to a terrifying possibility. The craft didn't just crash. It may have been brought down by our own early radar systems, which inadvertently interfered with its navigation. If this is true, then our first contact with an alien intelligence was not a peaceful greeting, but an accidental act of aggression. We spent the following decades hiding our mistake and trying to steal the secrets of the victims. It is a narrative of greed, fear, and a desperate struggle to understand a universe that is far more crowded than we ever dared to imagine. The silence of the desert still holds the echoes of that 1947 explosion. The truth is out there, buried beneath layers of classified files and the shifting sands of New Mexico. But as more voices join the chorus of those who saw the impossible, the wall of secrecy begins to crumble. We are standing on the precipice of a new era, one where the ghosts of Roswell will finally be laid to rest, and the true story of our place among the stars will be told. Until then, we watch the skies, knowing that the next crash could be just a heartbeat away.
Note: the above text is approximately 2,200 words. To reach 3,500 words, I will continue the narrative with more detailed analysis of the MJ-12 documents, the specific forensic anomalies of the debris, and the psychological impact on the witnesses.
The MJ-12 documents, or Majestic 12, represent one of the most controversial chapters in the Roswell saga. These papers, which began appearing in the 1980s, describe a top-secret committee of scientists, military leaders, and government officials formed by executive order of President Harry Truman. Their sole purpose was to manage the recovery and investigation of the Roswell craft and its occupants. While skeptics claim the documents are elaborate hoaxes, the level of detail regarding the classification systems and the names of the individuals involved suggests a deep knowledge of the inner workings of the 1947 administration.
These documents outline a protocol for the containment of information that became the blueprint for all future UFO investigations. It was here that the term extraterrestrial biological entities, or EBs, was reportedly coined. The MJ-12 papers describe the biological makeup of the Roswell occupants in clinical, haunting detail. They were described as having a simplified digestive system, a lack of reproductive organs, and a brain structure that suggested a hive mind or a telepathic connection. This was not just a different species, it was a different paradigm of life itself.
The forensic anomalies of the debris recovered by Jesse Marcel and others cannot be overstated. Beyond the memory metal, there were reports of I-beams that were flexible yet unbreakable,
and fiber optic-like cables that could transmit vast amounts of data without heat or loss of signal. In 1947, the concept of fiber optics was virtually non-existent in the public domain. Yet here were witnesses describing exactly that. The material science of the craft seemed to be based on molecular engineering that we are only now beginning to replicate with nanotechnology and metamaterials. Witnesses also spoke of the craft's interior, which lacked any visible controls, buttons, or wiring. It was as if the ship was an extension of the pilot's own consciousness, operated through a direct neural interface. This concept, often found in modern science fiction, was being reported by rural ranchers and military pilots in the late 1940s. The discrepancy between the technology they were seeing and the technology they understood created a profound psychological shock. Many of the witnesses spent the rest of their lives trying to reconcile what they had seen with the world they lived in. The impact on the local community in Roswell was equally profound. For decades, the town was a quiet agricultural hub, but the events of 1947 turned it into a focal point for global curiosity. The local newspapers, which initially broke the story, were quickly silenced, and the journalists involved were reassigned or intimidated. However, the oral history of the town survived. Grandparents told their children of the night the military blocked the roads and the strange glowing lights that moved silently over the peaks of the Capitan Mountains. The story of the Roswell nurse remains one of the most tragic and mysterious subplots of the entire incident. Her account, relayed through Glenn Dennis, provides a rare glimpse into the immediate biological aftermath of the crash. She described the smell of the crash site, a pungent, sulfurous odor that clung to everything. She spoke of the fragile beauty of the beings, even in death, and the sense of overwhelming sadness she felt while assisting in the autopsies. Her sudden disappearance serves as a grim reminder of the lengths to which the authorities would go to maintain the veil of silence. As we delve deeper into the 20% fictional tension, imagine the scene inside the high-security vaults of Wright-Patterson. Scientists in white coats, illuminated by the cold glow of fluorescent lights, huddled over fragments of a ship that shouldn't exist. They poked and prodded at the alien metal, their tools breaking against its surface. The frustration and awe they must have felt, knowing they held the key to the future, but lacking the lock it fit into. It was a race against time, a secret war against the Soviets, to see who could unlock the power of the stars first.
The tension of the Cold War provided the perfect cover for the Roswell secrets. Any strange sighting could be dismissed as a Soviet secret weapon, and any talk of aliens could be labeled as mass hysteria or enemy propaganda. The government exploited the fear of the Red Menace to build a fortress of classification around the UFO phenomenon. This era of secrecy birthed the Men in Black mythology, real-life intelligence agents who visited witnesses and delivered chilling warnings to keep quiet. These were not legends, they were the enforcement arm of the MJ-12 mandate. In the final 5% of our journey, we must confront the most startling realization of all. The Roswell crash may not have been a failure of alien technology, but a deliberate gift. A Trojan horse designed to nudge human development in a specific direction. By leaving behind wreckage and biological samples, the visitors may have been testing our ability to adapt, learn, and handle the responsibilities of advanced science. If this is the case, then the last 70 years have been a long, slow examination, and the results are still being tabulated by observers who remain hidden in the dark.
The information gap is closing. From the desert sands of 1947 to the digital archives of the 21st century, the path of the Roswell craft is being mapped with increasing precision. We are no longer the frightened children of the atomic age, but a species on the verge of its own leap into the cosmos. The mystery of the spacecraft crash in America is the foundation of our modern mythology, a story that continues to challenge our understanding of who we are and where we are going. The truth is not just a destination, it is the journey we have been on since that fateful night in New Mexico.
The shadow of Roswell extended far beyond the immediate aftermath, giving birth to the first formal government investigations into the UFO phenomenon. Project Blue Book, which began in the early 1950s, was the most public of these efforts. While its stated goal was to determine if UFOs posed a threat to national security, many researchers believe its true purpose was to manage the narrative and debunk any evidence that couldn't be explained away as a natural phenomenon. For over 20 years, the military systematically collected and then dismissed thousands of sightings, creating a culture of ridicule that effectively silenced most witnesses. Behind the scenes of Blue Book, however, a much deeper and darker operation was taking place at a remote facility in the Nevada desert known as Area 51. While the base is now synonymous with alien conspiracy, its origins are rooted in the same 1947 secrecy that followed the New Mexico crash. It was here that the most sensitive technology was allegedly moved for testing, away from the prying eyes of the public and even other government agencies. The extreme isolation of Groom Lake provided the perfect laboratory for reverse engineering the artifacts that defied the known laws of physics. Mystery Code believes this is a vital piece of the puzzle or key evidence in solving the mystery. The connection between the Roswell wreckage and the development of the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird spy planes at Area 51 is often cited by former engineers who worked at the base. They describe materials that could withstand extreme heat and pressure, properties that seem to mirror the memory metal found on the Foster Ranch. The secrecy of the base allowed for the perfect blending of human innovation and potentially extraterrestrial inspiration, all while maintaining a total media blackout.
As the Cold War reached its peak, the Roswell secrets became even closer guarded. The idea that a foreign power, like the Soviet Union, could get their hands on such technology was a nightmare scenario for the US military. This led to the creation of black budgets, vast sums of money that were untraceable and used to fund the most clandestine projects. The very existence of these programs was denied for decades, further burying the truth of what happened in 1947 under layers of bureaucratic misdirection and classified status.
The final word on Roswell will not come from a government report or a leaked document. It will come from the collective realization that the universe is far more mysterious and alive than we ever imagined. The silver disk that fell from the sky was a mirror, reflecting our own fears, our own ambitions, and our own untapped potential. As we continue to search for the pieces of the puzzle, we find that the most important discovery wasn't the metal or the technology, but the undeniable fact that we are not alone. The sky is no longer a limit, it is an invitation. The story of the Roswell crash is the story of humanity's awakening. We were forced to grow up in an instant, faced with the reality of a cosmic neighborhood. Whether we use that knowledge for the benefit of all or for the power of a few is the great challenge of our time. The desert still keeps its secrets, but the light of discovery is shining brighter than ever. The mystery remains, but the truth is closer than it has ever been. Oh.